Acolytes, 2008, is a film that underwhelms in its attempt to create a gripping and compelling thriller. As a keen observer of well-structured narratives and unforgettable characters, especially within the revered Star Wars franchise, this movie falls short significantly. The plot of Acolytes is labyrinthine and lacking in clarity. Take, for instance, the scene where the protagonist suddenly jumps to a completely unrelated without any prior hint or foreshadowing, leaving viewers bewildered. There's also the scene where three seemingly major characters are introduced and then inexplicably vanish without contributing much to the plot development. Far from the synchronized and well-paced storytelling of Star Wars, where every plot twist finds its place in the grand scheme, Acolytes wanders aimlessly. It attempts to balance too many elements at once, leading to a scattered narrative that leaves the audience more baffled than entertained. The characters in Acolytes, particularly the lead roles, are lacking in depth and are overwhelmingly one-dimensional. Take, for instance, the lead protagonist John. His motivations are poorly developed, with his actions often inexplicably irrational, such as in the scene where he chooses to confront the antagonist single-handedly, without any credible explanation as to why he would make such a reckless decision. The same can be said for the character of Mary, who, despite being portrayed as an intelligent, meticulous woman, makes decisions that contradict her established character, like in the scene where she blindly follows a stranger without considering the potential danger. These instances make it difficult for the audience to form any emotional connection with them. This lack of connection saps the suspense from the movie, leaving the audience uncaring about the fate of these lackluster characters. In Acolytes, the acting quality varies, but it notably dips with certain performances. Take, for example, the protagonist, John's portrayal. His performance is strikingly wooden, failing to exude the charisma that the character demands. Particularly in the confrontation scene with the antagonist, his energy seems to be woefully lacking, rendering the scene flat. Equally, Jane, who stands in the role of the heroine, delivers an equally dreary performance. In what should have been her most defining moment, the climax, her lack of energy and charisma is painfully evident, robbing the scene of potential intensity. Unlike the Star Wars saga, where even minor characters make a remarkable impression, the cast of Acolytes, particularly John and Jane, delivers performances that are forgettable and fail to engage the audience. The cinematography and visual effects in Acolytes are, regrettably, a significant disappointment when compared scene by scene with the Star Wars saga. Star Wars, in particular, sets a high bar with its awe-inspiring special effects and striking visuals that catapult viewers into a distant galaxy. Take, for instance, the opening sequence of Acolytes, where the spacecraft emerges from the darkness of space, offering nothing more than a lackluster visualization that lacks the depth and detail seen in Star Wars. The epic space battle scenes, a signature of the Star Wars franchise, are sorely missed in Acolytes. The confrontations are dull and lack the energy and tension that we've come to expect. Additionally, the film's dark and dreary aesthetic becomes repetitive and tiresome. The monochromatic color grading and lack of dynamic lighting in scenes, such as the protagonist's exploration of the alien ship, pale in comparison to the vibrant and diverse color palette of Star Wars. It results in an arduous viewing experience, forcing us to trudge through the narrative rather than being pulled into it. In conclusion, unfortunately, Acolytes falls short in terms of its visual storytelling, specifically when held against the visually rich and immersive world of Star Wars. To touch on specifics, one notable scene in Acolytes where the pacing is dreadfully slow is the extended conversation between the two lead characters in the diner. This scene, which lasts for almost 15 minutes, adds nothing substantial to the narrative or character arc. There's another long-drawn scene of the wandering aimlessly through the woods again, contributing nothing impactful to the storyline or his character development. These scenes, and many similar ones, reflect the painfully slow pacing of Acolytes. In contrast, consider the Mos Eisley Cantina scene from Star Wars: A New Hope. Even though it's essentially characters conversing in a bar, the scene is bristling with energy, introducing us to new and intriguing characters, setting up future plot elements, and advancing the narrative, all in a compact time frame. The pacing here is brisk and engaging, always moving the story forward. Another example is the thrilling chase sequence in Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, where the Millennium Falcon is pursued by Star Destroyers and TIE fighters, keeping the audience on the edge of their seats. Even scenes with less action, such as Luke's training with Yoda, are filled with character development and narrative progression. Comparatively, Acolytes seems stuck in a sluggish rhythm, featuring scenes that test the audience's patience with their lack of dynamism or narrative progression. The difference in pacing and engagement between the two films is stark. While Star Wars is a roller coaster ride of excitement and suspense, Acolytes feels more like a long, dull stroll, leaving much to be desired. It stands as a clear example of how a film can fall short of the high benchmark of engagement and pacing set by cinematic classics like Star Wars. This video is brought to you by Circle Time, the website builder that embraces simplicity. In a world where flat web pages and lack of personality have become the norm, Circle Time is here to bring a breath of fresh air. It's designed for those who prefer a minimalist approach, who believe that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. With Circle Time, you won't get lost in the complexities of coding, design, or customization. Instead, you will have the power to create sleek, clean, and functional web pages that focus on what truly matters: your content. In a world where brands are losing their personality, Circle Time empowers you to break the mold. It encourages you to embrace the simplicity and uniformity that can make your web page stand out in a sea of overcomplicated and cluttered websites. Remember, creativity isn't about adding more. It's about taking away the unnecessary. So, if you're tired of the hustle and bustle of complicated website builders, join Circle Time today. Embrace the simplicity because in the end, less is more. Circle Time because creativity is overrated and simplicity is the new sophistication.